Hello.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Teen Talk Live. We have a very special episode for you, and I am just sitting back and relaxing because I'm going to turn it over to our teen host, Elorm. Take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elorm Adzadi, and I am currently a senior in high school. These are my friends, and they're going to be here with us, and we're going to be having a discussion on the topic of women,
Teen
specific,
host.
specifically women of color and honor and appreciation of women's history, Women Appreciation Month, which is this month. So I'm just going to go ahead and allow my friends to introduce themselves, starting at the bottom left. Either honestly.
Hi, my name is Imra Jumani. I am a daughter of two Pakistani parents, and I have a passion for cooking and teaching. That's about it. I'm 18 years old.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Akela Edahin. I am Ghanaian and Ivorian. My mom is Ivorian. My father is Ghanaian. My passion is, well, when I grow older, I in college, I want to pursue a career in the medical field. I want to be a pediatrician because I have a love for children and I want to help them. So, yeah.
So we are all daughters of immigrants. My mom, actually, I am an immigrant myself, but we're gonna find out more about this on the topic later. So first things first, the question I have for you guys is order. So we can have Emma go first and Michaela or either or, whichever you of you has something to say. So the first question is, who are the women who have made or continue to make a major impact in your life, and why are they the women who have like you choose?
I think that one of the most important women in my life by far is my mother. She's one of the strongest women I know. She came to America with basically nothing with my father, and they started a life for me and my sister. And they knew that if they were going to have children, they wanted them to live their best lives, and I'm sure it's the same for both of you as well. A lot of immigrants and a lot of parents that are from different countries come to America for that reason exactly. And my mom, she definitely was not the typical mom you would think. She never cooked, she never cleaned. That wasn't her thing. She would be the pants of the household. She was the breadwinner, and she still is. She to this day she is pushing our you know house forward, making sure we are fed, we are clothed. um and I think that what inspires me most about her is that even in her darkest times, even when she's at her lowest, she never stops, because she knows that she's not doing it for herself, she's doing it for her family. And that's what makes me proud to be her daughter, and to push myself to be just as amazing as she is.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Michaela.
The most important woman in my life is also my mother. My mother is a single mother, so like she does everything on her own. So she's taught me a lot about being independent. She doesn't receive a lot of help from my father or anybody else really, or she doesn't receive outside financial help. So she does everything on her own. She has 4 children. She takes care of all of her 4 children by herself. She provides for us. She feeds us. She puts clothes on our backs. She literally moved out of my father's house just to build a better life for herself. She's Ivorian, but she also grew up in Ghana. She's also an immigrant. She left Ghana to come to America to find a better life for her children. And so my mother has taught me a lot about being independent, being me. She's taught me how to love myself, especially being a black woman, a black girl in America, where Black women don't get a lot of respect or love from others. So my mom has taught me those things.
Well, my mother is in Ghana, and her she's very I admire her a lot because she has taught me the power of emotional strength and stability, which is something that I've come to value a lot. Like especially right now, even though she's not here, like she still manages to strengthen me through our talks. She is literally the foundation of my really like of my faith in God and like having the strong sense of God that I have. Like she has taught me so much. She is part of the reason I'm so confident and confident in myself. And I even have the partial and even the slightest emotional stability to be here with my father and my sister and still maintain a level of maturity and confidence and be the girl, the woman I am today. So without having laid that foundation at such a young age, like at the age of 12, I can confidently say I was probably more mature than an 18-year-old, and that I owe that all to my sister and especially my mother, who raised my sister to basically be a second mother to me. And my sister is very impactful in my life. I speak to her every day, and she literally helps me through everything. And I'm so very appreciative of them. Yeah. So, what advice or action from your role model do you keep close to your heart, like your mother? When you think of your mother, what comes to mind? What advice that has she ever said to you that empowers you when something gets hard?
My mom went through a a hard time when I was around the age 13, 14. I was in ninth grade at the time. And um, she just was working up to a point where she couldn't handle that much stress. And she ended up having bipolar disorder and schizophrenia around the same time. And it came out of nowhere for sure. And it was one of the most impactful times in my life because it showed me that the things that I think matter and that are materialistic and that people are always talking about, they don't matter. Those are the small moments that are going to pass. But the biggest thing that I can ever think about is my family and the people around me that I appreciate so much, which is my mom. And even through going through that hard of a time, she's still not the same, but she worked just as hard and she never gave up. When she was sick, she refused to quit her job because she was worried that it would impact my family. And all we were thinking about was her health and her well-being. But for her, it's not the question about being healthy or not. It's the question of, am I supporting my children and am I making sure that they're safe? We were always her number one. And I think that having that kind of love for someone, two children, she has two children, and that kind of love I don't think you can ever give to anybody. But my mom, she showed me that if she can persevere and if she can move forward even through the darkest of times, what's my excuse? That's what I always think about. What's my excuse for not working harder and not pushing myself the most I can?
Thank you for that, everyone. Nikki.
Oh, my turn?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't switch. Oh, I think the most important thing my mother has taught me has been self-love, because I grew up not appreciating myself. Like, I found myself ugly. I didn't really think there was any, like, I didn't think the qualities of myself were up to par. Like, I didn't love, honestly, I didn't love anything about myself. I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think I was pretty enough. I didn't think I was better than like, I just thought I wasn't worth anything, to be quite honest, until I reached the age of 12. My mom sat me down and she just, I guess, instilled in me how important I am as a person. And I guess being around, like, once I got to really the high school, I started to surround myself with better people. She told me to make sure I am surrounded by people who make me feel important, who make me feel like the person I should feel. And she always reminded me since I was a child how beautiful I am, how smart I am, how I should always try to be the best person I can be. And I really appreciate my mother for all those things. Yeah.
Okay, well, I know both of you very personally, and I just want to say that, like, what your mothers have instilled in you is something that I have witnessed. I have seen evidence of that. It is real. It is true. Emra, you are a hard worker. You do not stop when those exams, and I'm like, oh, it's there. Your mother really instilled that in you, Michaela. Your confidence is it's here. I've known you for 3 years. Like your mother, what she has instilled in you, what Mama Juju has instilled in you. I'm seeing it. A lot of people see it. They talk to me about it. They're like, oh my God, Michaela, you're so confident. She's so smart. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty. So it's there. And I just wanted to say that and encourage you guys that what your mother, your role model is, it's there. Thank you for that. So number three, what are some things your mothers have shared with you, their stories, and about being immigrant women that you think are very valuable, and you've taken that you feel like this is definitely I'm going to need it in the future, especially as a Pakistani woman, as a Black woman, as an African woman, going up.
Um, for a long time, my parents have taught me that diversity and culture and just being you know, a cultural sponge is really important. I've witnessed it from them themselves. They went to my dad went to Belgium when he was around 17, and then my mother also um, went with him to Burundi in Bujumbura when they were their early 20s, and they started a restaurant there. And my mom was the one that would be the manager, and she was completely in charge. My dad would bust the tables, and it would make me think like I know that that's something I want in my future, and I want to be just as culturally I like to explore different cultures, and I've seen that with my close friends. I've asked them to kind of instill different ideas into me and like show me parts of them that I haven't seen before. Um, I speak French, and I know both of you guys do too. But my
Not that
parents,
well.
they're the ones that pushed me to go into French. My mom spoke French in Burundi to work at the um, work at the restaurant. She also learned Swahili, and it's just it empowers me to value the knowledge that she had grasped just throughout her journey coming to America. It's such a small thing, but my mom, she went to college, she finished all the way, she got her degree, and she lost it all when she came here. She didn't have any kind of education when she came to America, but she persevered. Like I said, my mom never stopped. She came here and she got her GED, and now she has her GED. She has some kind of degree that's going to get her somewhere. And it just makes me so proud. I remember the day she graduated from her class. It made me so happy because it's truly really impressive when you see someone that knows that you know it's hard to finish your education when you're in that age. It's really hard, but she did it, and it makes me think, if she did it, I can for sure do it at the age that I'm at. There's no problem. There's no reason for me to say no.
Michaela?
Elorm, before Michaela go, let me interrupt you for a second just to say, Imra, that was such a powerful story about your mom. And a lot of people who are watching, if they're not immigrants, they might not know that a lot of times when you come to America, it doesn't matter in a lot of cases what your profession is or your level of education is, it's not necessarily recognized. And so you basically have to start all over.
Yeah.
And kudos to your mom for enduring all that she has endured, and then, you know, start over and getting her GED was a huge deal, even though in her country she had multiple advanced degrees.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's really important for our audience to know. And just back it up a little bit, one of our comments, Miss Jocelyn is watching. Y'all say hi to Miss Jocelyn. And she
Hi, Miss
says
Jocelyn.
self-love is so extremely important in our lives. We cannot love another until we are able to love ourselves. You are truly beautiful, my sister. So she and then love to you all. And she said, you ladies are truly phenomenal. And she is watching you all. So
Thank
yes.
you.
Okay. You all can continue. I just had to interrupt for that.
Michaela?
So, my mother has always told me to break stereotypes, or what's a better way to say this?
Challenge stereotypes, be different, possibly?
Yeah, not let stereotypes define me.
Okay.
So, you know, there's like the stereotype that Black people aren't that smart, or like they're like dumb, you know,
Yeah.
which is not true at all. I have all of my friends, all of the Black people I know are very intelligent. But as soon as I like started going to school, she's always reminding me to not let other people bring me down or make me feel less than, especially when I was in elementary school, I went to an all-white school. So I was like one of the only Black students in my class. And she would tell me every day before I went to school, you are smart, you are pretty, you are lovely. Like, she would tell me that every morning before she put my socks on. Because growing up in Ghana, women don't really get to go to school. African women usually have to be the housewife. They usually have to clean, do all the housewife things. So when she came here, she doesn't want me to be a housewife. She wants me to be the breadwinner of my family. So she reminds me every day to make sure I do good in school. I shouldn't let other people make me feel like I'm not as good as them. And so that's something I carry with me every day. I make sure to not let stereotypes define me or become a stereotype.
Yeah. To kind of follow up on what Michaela said, I'm gonna be more of a participant and host for a second. But like when I came here, something that my mother kind of told me and my father kind of really reinforced this message was to never forget who I am, where I'm from, and like the kind of the message, like the values that come with being Ghanaian. Like I really struggled with that in the beginning. Like I even tried to Americanize my name. So like some people like the way people pronounce my name, I had to really like make sure people knew who I was, like where I was from, and never.
Yeah, they would call you Elorm.
Yeah, like, and I wouldn't like correct it for like a good 3 years, and I would only start to correct it. I would surround myself with people who really accepted that part of me and like accepted that I'm African, and like when I mean African in every sense, and that meant I wasn't going to conform to the common ideas associated with Black people, because when you see me, you can't tell the difference between an African and an African American. You just see a Black person. So I have to make sure like the values that come with being Ghanaian stick with me and it helps me stand out because that really gives me an advantage. And my dad and my mom and my sister, they really had to make sure I understood that. And every single day before I would leave, my father would say, don't forget, you are Ghanaian. Don't go out here acting anyway. You act the way you would act in this house. I'd be like, yes, daddy. I walk out of the house. So,
Yeah, and I know how powerful it is for you to like you know exactly who you are, and I've ever since I've known you, I've never questioned it. I've always called you Elom. Ever since you asked me to, I've been calling you that, and now I can't say anything but. And I've met your parents, I've met your sister, and they're all so driven. Like I love how um they're just very proud people, and I love that about them. They're not ever going to say that they're never going to be apologetic about who they are. And I love that about you. I love that about your family. I love that about a lot of people I know are that don't let themselves mistake who they are for anybody else. Like I know a lot of people, even I would do that. I would change my name from Imra to Emra, or some people would call me Irma, and I was like, you know what, just do it. But it's crazy because it gets tiring sometimes.
but like what I've come to realize is that as we're moving forward, especially in our school, it's like people are really starting to embrace their background. You know, no matter how far back it may seem or how close it may seem, they're really starting to embrace their backgrounds, and they're starting to create this melting pot of diversity. You know, and like that's why I'm even able to very easily find people like you guys so that we could even have this talk. You know, so I don't
Mm-hmm.
have struggle. Like I literally just thought of it. I could think of so many people, Nicole, you, Janicia, all these people from all around the world who are proud of where they come from because their parents reinforced this in them, like your mother who reinforced this in you, and your Michaela, your mother who reinforced this with you, so that we could have this conversation in the first place. Yeah. Okay, so question number 4. So, do you believe being daughters of immigrants gives you a different perspective? And if so, what kind is it, and how does it benefit you or not benefit you at all?
Being a daughter of an immigrant isn't anything that I regret. I'm very proud of telling others that my parents are immigrants. They became citizens in, I think, 2012, maybe. I'm not sure. But the amount of work they put in to make it to that point is insane. My parents have been here for, it's more than 20 years now. And not once did they ever complain. You know, they've never complained about being in America. And obviously, it's a completely different place. When you move from your hometown where you feel so comfortable and come to a completely different and new area where you probably can't even speak the language right, it's it's hard. It feels like everything is against you and you're kind of put in this small box filled with, you would think it's just you, but there's so many other people with the same story. They felt like they're put in this small box and it's just them versus this entire amount, like so many people that speak fluent English and expect you to know things that you probably don't know. And obviously it's hard saying that my parents were, you know, I never questioned them one time when they would tell me um the things they went through. They never complained. That's what surprised me. When they came to this country, they never once told me that anything was hard for them. They were appreciative of every moment that happened and how far they've come because everything that they did paid off in the end. And my dad speaks fluent English. My mom, perfect. She, is a salesperson and she works in jewelry and she has amazing English. To come from basically no English at all to a good chunk of the American vocabulary. It's
Impressive.
insane. It's a lot. And I'm proud of them. And that's, I think, what I benefit from it. I realize that I can speak English fluently. Why not? Why don't I use that to help other people that can't do what I can? And why can't they teach me their one skill that I have no clue about doing? You know, there's so much we can learn from each other, and that comes from people immigrating. I think that diversity is the key to unlocking so much power and so much just so much fulfillment.
Yeah, I agree with you, Emma, because if we didn't have diversity, we would just be stagnant. It would be a stagnant world, not just society, like a whole world. Because if the British didn't colonize other countries, there would be no English. Sure, there would be a few less problems, but still, like, there's always a good and a bad side to every situation. Michaela, what
Yeah.
do you?
My background is extremely important to me. Whenever people ask me, "What are you? Where are you from?" I always say, "Oh, Ghana." You know, I rep Ghana. Or I rep Ivory Coast. I tell them, "Oh, I'm Ghanaian, Ivorian." But when I was young, I didn't really tell people that I was African. When people ask me where I'm from, like, I'm from America. Like, what kind of question is that? And that's mainly because my parents, they kind of they didn't want people to like know that I was African, because I guess like in America, it's not that, it wasn't like people would judge you. That's what it was. People would judge you if you weren't like others. So I wanted to fit in. My parents wanted me to fit in. But as I grew older, I saw that no, I should be proud of who I am. Michelle, I should be proud of who I am. I should, hold on a second, I'm so sorry.
Hello, that's
Okay,
hilarious.
so while Michaela is doing that, I'm gonna read a comment. And Miss Jocelyn said, "I'm a daughter of an immigrant, and I am so proud. My parents were hardworking, and their focus
I don't know that
just just as just as your parents were their children. My dad was a Harvard graduate and he was a lawyer. My mom was a nurse, and they raised their children to be their best selves, and to always treat others as we wanted to be treated." So I applaud you ladies for your openness and honesty. Being strong and proud is really important. So that is so important that you are repping your culture.
I'm so sorry. My sister came in looking for a charger. But
That's so
as I was saying, I now embrace my culture, who I am, my background, and my parents do as well. It's just like when you come fresh from a country and you give birth to children, especially, especially giving birth to children in this country, you want your children to fit in. You don't want them to be different from other people, or else those people are going to judge your children and be rude towards them. So that's mainly the reasons why my parents wanted me to not really tell people that my parents are African or that I'm African. But now I proudly tell people, "Oh yes, I'm Ghanaian. I'm Ivorian. My parents are African. I'm African. One day I'll go visit."
Yeah, I think a lot of like we're all starting to do that now, kind of starting to embrace like our backgrounds, and I think like it's a very good thing, kind of because Festival of Nations. So at our school we have this event called Festival of Nations coming up. It's like people from all around the world. You're kind of representing your culture, your country, your background. You're gonna have fashion shows, talent shows. It's gonna be really cool. So kind of excited for that, to kind of rep our background. To kind of follow up on that question is, what do you think are some stigmas associated with women of color or immigrants, and to what extent do you believe they're true or society believes them to be true?
Um, my mother being a Muslim woman, I think a big stigma of me telling other people that I'm from a Muslim family is that where's your hijab? Where is this? Go back to your country. Why do you it's just a bunch of comments that are filled into people's minds surrounding one event, surrounding one person. It's it's the same thing for my mom. Um, for a long time, I wouldn't tell people. My mom wouldn't really want me to tell people that um, I'm Muslim, and she didn't really have a problem with it, but she would kind of tell me if there was any problem, just don't really mention it or don't fight about it. As a Muslim woman, they would expect me to, be a girl that's not very empowered. But the fact is that there's so many Muslim women that are in power right now. There's so many Muslim presidents. There has been a Pakistani president or prime minister that is a woman, and it's it's crazy because we haven't even gotten that far yet in America. And it makes me proud to say that. That's one of the stigmas I'm so happy that I can proudly break and make sure I can tell people, look, there are so many strong, independent women in Pakistan that don't need any men's approval. They aren't afraid to say what they need to say. Um, my mother's mother, my grandmother, she is by herself right now. My grandfather passed away when my mom was at a young age. So she had, I think, 6 children. And it was crazy for her because she worked all the time. And my mom's siblings would be their parents, basically. Like my mom would parent all her younger and older siblings. My mom would be a parent to them. And that's similar to how my sister is a parent to me. Um, and so, like, even at a young age, my mother would show that just because she has very low chances of being at the level that a lot of men are right now, considering job wise and stuff like that, she didn't care because she knew that if she put in the work, if she broke those stigmas, and if she didn't look that stereotype, she would be the reason why it's not a thing anymore, why it isn't even a stigma anymore. She's one of the reasons why. In my head, I don't think any women are less capable than any other men. I think both of the genders are equal, and sometimes women, even take the round. I'm saying. So for sure, I think that there's so many strong women, especially in Pakistan.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Michaela, do you have anything to say to this?
Oh, so let me get my thoughts together.
Oh, you want me to repeat the question?
Oh no, I got it. So when I first started telling people that I was African, I got questions like, "Oh, like so in Africa, because at that time everybody thought Africa was a country, so that everybody would be like, "Oh, so in Africa, do you guys like ride camels? Do you guys like live in the woods? Do you like get like do you climb trees to get fruit?" And I was just like, "No, we don't do any of that. We're just like you guys." And I got questions like, "Oh, is that why you're so dark? Is that like why you look like that? Oh, it's because all Africans are black." And then it was like, "Oh." So at that age, I let all those comments bother me. Like that's like one of the main reasons why I stopped telling people I was African. I was just like, yeah, just black. So there is a stigma around Africans. Like Africans are like from the jungle. All we do is jungle things. That's not it. And I, for so many years, I let those things bother me and stop me from openly being who I am. And also even in the African community, because I didn't grow up learning the language. So from other Africans, they're like, oh, so you're Americanized, you can't speak the language. Oh, look at what your parents did to you. Or like, oh, you've never been to Ghana. Oh, look at you, Americanized. They wouldn't even take you back to go see your own country, your own people. And I did, for a long time, I also didn't even fit in my own community, like my own African community, because they made me feel so Americanized, especially when I was trying so hard to understand my own background. So now I'm not close to many of my cousins, so like that was also a major issue growing up. Is like I didn't know the African culture because my parents like tried to hide it, and I wasn't really close to any of my cousins, so there was really nothing to learn from. But once I got to like 8th grade or really high school, I met a lot of African people, and I started going to an African church, and I started to learn more about my background, my people, my culture. And I started to be like, wow, being African is so empowering. It's so beautiful. There are so many wonderful things to learn from your own culture, especially things that you didn't know of. So, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, the
I think we have
oh, go ahead.
yeah, it was stalled a little bit, Michaela, but I think what you're saying is so important. And our viewers says lack of education about Africa. That's why people say the things that they say and ask the questions that they ask, just out of pure ignorance and lack of education. But I think, and just to share a little bit, I was born and raised in Jamaica. And when I migrated to the United States, it was easier for me to assimilate and just be recognized as African American, because people would be like, oh, you got an accent, oh, say something, and just make fun of that. And it was easier for me to lose the accent and just fit in, so I didn't have to explain or stand out. But as I get older, I embrace that more. And it's so fun to see young people like yourself just out there embracing your culture, because that is so key. That is such a key piece of who you are. And when you're not doing it alone, it makes it easier. So way to go. Way to go. Back to our host.
Yeah, to kind of add on to what Michaela said about the stereotypes of being African, like in middle school, that was something that was a lot. So coming here, for me, Ghana was all I knew. The idea of like being inferior to someone based on my color, based on like my race, my ethnicity was a very foreign concept to me, because I grew up in a place where Black people were in power. The entire country is Black. The white man, if a white man steps on Ghanaian soil, he is the minority. That is simple. I can literally look at him and feel absolutely no fear. Nothing about you scares me, because I am surrounded by my people. My president is a whole Black man. Like, you literally don't intimidate me. So just the idea that I was inferior, like I grew up knowing what Hannah Montana was. So when I came here and I was being asked these questions, I was like, okay, I don't understand the context of it. Where are you getting these ideas that Africa is inferior to you, my country is inferior to you? I don't understand this. So like I was very, very surprised, and I didn't even understand the idea of like don't touch my hair until later. So when someone would ask to touch my hair, I'd be like, okay, sure. And then they would touch it. I'm like, okay. And then I would start to learn it little by little. So it's like we seem to have similar experiences, but on different scales, like different like scopes. And it's just very interesting to me. But like I feel like as we're growing, as we're moving in further and progressing, like this is getting a lot better, because we have social media, we have YouTube, we have all, they have the internet to kind of educate people. it's not going it's not going quickly, but it's still going and it's getting better, you know. Yeah. Number 7. So, do you feel you may or may not embody some of the stereotypes associated with these stigmas? And if so, how do you fight against them every day? And how do you think these stigmas may be dismantled?
Um, as a Muslim woman, I'm more empowered than anything, and I don't think that I'm afraid of being called out about it. You know, I would appreciate it if someone questioned where I'm from and questioned my background, because at least they're questioning it and not assuming it. Um, for me, I've been taught all my life to tell people exactly who I am, and that's something I've learned from my church, from where I'm from, my Jamaat Khana, that's what we call it. Is basically a mosque, and I'm a minority of a minority. I'm from the Shia sect of Islam, and I'm in a smaller sect. So I'm like a very small chunk of Islam, and it has like dawned on me how important it is to tell people, because if I'm not the one saying anything, then no one will say anything, and no one will know and be educated about who I am and where I'm from. I know all about, the American culture. I've lived here all my life, but there are so many people that still don't know about me. And I have so many, I guess I could say I have like secrets about myself. And I have this whole different life at home that I don't really show much. That's not the case now, but when I was younger, I wouldn't show much about myself. And now I feel really proud when I have my keychain, my little Allah keychain, um, on my keys, and like somebody asked me about it. It makes me feel proud to explain to them, oh, this is in Arabic. This means Allah, and that means God. And it's just, I enjoy telling people more about myself because it feels better to tell them exactly what's going on than them saying, oh, you're a terrorist. I don't understand why your people did this to our people. Like, in my brain, and basically most of Islam means peace. That's the word for Islam. And we consider people who commit crimes or commit any kind of um any kind of murder, any discretion, anything that will happen, we don't consider them Islamic anymore. We don't consider them our brothers and sisters. They're not Muslim in our eyes. The people that we consider Muslim are the are people that work for charities, that show their love for other human beings, that are passionate about whatever they want to learn. Those are the people that Islam likes to. That's what I want Islam to be embodied by. I don't want to be known as a girl that is from the terrorist culture, and that's not something that I think anybody wants. I hate it when I walk into a restaurant or something and I'm treated well because I don't wear a hijab, and then if I have a friend with me that does wear a hijab, she gets weird looks. It's not fair for her. And just because she's showing herself and expressing her culture and being brave and fearless, she got so much negativity thrown her way, and that's not fair. It's not fair at all. I've told a lot of my friends that, and I've told my parents too, that I want to wear a hijab one day, even though that's not a part of much of my culture. I want to, because I want to face what other people face. I want to feel what they feel, because I don't just want to sympathize. I want to empathize. I want to see how they are feeling, because I'm a Muslim woman and I believe the same things that they do. It's just they express it in a different way. Why is it so different for both of us? You know?
Those are good questions, Emma. I really, really hope you get the answer to that. And someday, hopefully, in the future, these kind of ideas and ideals that people have in their heads about different cultures just being different it goes away so that we can have peace because we all deserve peace, just for being ourselves. Michaela, do you have anything to add to this?
Um, I also feel power in teaching others about my culture, especially when I learn new things. I like to teach new things. Whatever I learn, I like to share.
Okay.
So Elom and I were officers in a club called PASA, Pan African Student Association. In that club, we teach others or shed light on African issues, or really we teach people about Africa. Like, we want people to know what Africa really is. In that club, we don't just have African people or Black people. We have whites, we have Middle Eastern people, we have Asians. We want everyone to feel included. It's a very inclusive club. And for a long time, I didn't feel comfortable in sharing all these. I didn't feel comfortable in sharing my own culture, but now I love just teaching others things that they were ignorant on. Just like I said earlier, people used to say ignorant things about Africa, like Africa's a country and whatnot. And when I hear certain things like that, I go up to them and I want them to know the truth. I want them to know that this is not true. This is what it really is. Africa is made up of numerous countries. Africa is a very beautiful place. It's not just what you see on TV, where Africa looks like some
Place.
some
Yeah,
sad place.
one
Like,
of the
there you don't get water. I mean, in some countries there it is true, but that is not what the whole of Africa looks like. And just like the language, I am now learning the language. I'm not really the best, but I can say a few things, and I like to tell my American friends like it's the same, which means hi, and then you respond like, "Hey, yeah," if you're good. So I just learned how to say that correctly, because before I was like very hesitant. I'd be like, "Hey, yeah." So yeah, that's how I feel.
I can vouch for her that she's doing good. She's learning.
Yep.
So, yep. Okay, so do you feel it is your duty as a girl of color to always put your best foot forward in representation of your people? Why or why?
Um, of course. Mm, I think it's more than important to show that I'm not the representation of all Muslims. I'm not the representation of all Pakistanis, but I know for a fact that if I can represent myself in a way that sheds light that not all people are the same, not all Muslims are the same, then I can get attention of maybe even just two people. But that makes a difference. That makes some kind of difference. And um, definitely going off of what my family has taught me, what my mother has taught me. Um, I think that she's done an amazing job, because I've never once thought that I should fight, or I should be violent, or I should be angry. I was always taught to be thankful and be happy that I have what I have. And I think a lot of people have have that kind of faith and that power instilled in them. And if I show that, I am a very smart and I have 3.9 GPA and I can follow in the footsteps of my strong sister that goes to UGA, barely sleeps at night. If I can, push myself the way she pushes herself, and then my mother pushes herself, then we're making a line of Jumanis in the world that are strong and do not care what other people are saying about us, what other people think about us. Because if I move farther and farther and I teach my kids the same thing, then I will achieve something much bigger than just me being, a smart girl. I'm teaching people that Muslim women are smart girls. That is one of the biggest reasons why I um I read Malala Yousafzai's biography, and around when she got shot, I would say 14, 15, maybe even younger, and didn't know much about it. And then I started reading up on it. She is a Pakistani girl, a woman who was shot for wanting to be educated. I took for granted so many times my education. I sometimes still do. And she was fighting for her life, wanting to be educated. And if she can fight for her life for something as simple that I have in my grasp, education, then there's there's so much I can do. You know, I have the resources, I have the time. I'm still young and I live in America. I have lots of connections. Malala, her story is different. Um she went through a lot, but she fought for it. And she's one of the biggest women, Pakistani women that I look up to when I think um of the amazing things about Pakistan. She's definitely on top of the list. Um, she put her best foot forward, and she didn't mind that she could have gotten hurt in the process, you know. And if she could have done it, I can definitely do something, you know.
Thank you. Michaela, do you have anything to add to this?
Yes, I do. So I'm not the face of Black people, but when you see me, the first thing you see is Black. You don't think of me as a person, you see the color of my skin. So what I do represents other Black women. So I make sure that I I try not to slack off in class. I try to be the best I can be. But even though senioritis is eating me a bit, and eh,
Mm-hmm.
She's
but
real.
You're
I'm
not
not
the
just
only one.
yeah, I'm not just a representation of Black women. I'm also a role model. Younger children look up to me. Like I have a younger sister. I try not to do bad things, or you know, I try to be a good influence on her, because at the end of the day, my younger sister, her friends, my younger cousins, they all look up to me. Not even people I know, other children, other people, they also look up to you, because especially children, because they're so easily influenced. You don't want them to see you doing wrong, because they're going to do the same.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I don't let stereotypes define me, like the angry Black women stereotype, like all Black women are easily angered. When I get angry, I try my hardest to bottle it in, or I don't let it bother me, or I can hide my emotions very easily. So I make sure like you can't see the annoyance written on my face, or I'm getting angry. I don't I don't, because then people are like, "Oh yeah, that's why Black women get so angry." Like, no, I don't want that to be because it's not true. All people get angry. It's an emotion. But yes,
Michaela, I mean, that is really powerful what you're saying. And it's sometimes as a Black woman, you might feel like you bear the burden of you carry the weight of all other Black women. And just what you're saying, being, older, several decades older than you now, just what you're saying has caused so much emotional damage to Black women, because for years we felt like we had to hold it all in, and we can't speak our minds because of this very damaging stereotype. But what I've learned in life is that as you become older and more mature, you find ways to express yourself in a way that you don't have to go, you don't have to go low. You don't have to do any of those things, but you can still stand your ground and get it all out, so that that stuff is not suppressed in you, because that's the kind of stuff that causes us a whole lot of different kind of diseases that is has such a presence in Black women. So as you get older, you will learn, and you know, as you associate yourself with more or with professional Black women or women who have learned some of these skills, as you associate yourself, you'll learn how to do that, so you don't have to carry all of that on you, because that's too much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just kind of add on to what Michaela said about doing your best in class because you feel like you're representing your people, like the people. And like one way I kind of do this is like when I think it's automatic. When I step into a room, my first instinct is to look for the Black people. It's just when I stepped into a high AP class, I look around and I'm like, okay, where are my people? And it's like it seems like we all do because we all just seem to make eye contact. And throughout the entire course, we're like, okay, these are my people. These are my people. And you know, and I think this is kind of very powerful, saying like in a way, knowing that there's strength in numbers, feeling like, okay, I'm not the only person here. I have these people around me. They're gonna help me through this. So like right now I'm taking AP Lang, and in AP Lang, I know my people. Emmanuel, Debbie, every time we get new seats, we spot each other. And every time something happens, we look at each other. We're like, okay, did you see that? All right, are we on the same page? Okay, we're on the same page. You know, it's like this sense of togetherness, this sense of family. And I think it's very important. And it all creates like a theme of legacy because we all seem to want to create a legacy for ourselves, for our family, for our community, for our background, you know. And I think we're all doing a very great job of it. I see you, Michaela, out here making these moves. Emra, I see you making these moves. I think it's going to work out great for us. So I just want to kind of end this talk and say thank you guys so much for coming. Mr. Lit, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity and the platform to host this and being such a great role model yourself. I see you out here making these big moves with your book, Teen Talk Live, Project Safety Nets, your own like book practice, and I'm so very grateful to know you. And thank you so much. I can't say thank you enough. Michaela, Emma, do you guys have anything to say?
Thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't think I needed something like this, but I
Yeah.
definitely needed it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you all are amazing young ladies. Thank you for being so transparent and sharing because I believe that it will help others. It will help so many others and stay, you know, stand your ground, rep your culture. That is so awesome. And Elorm, you know, I think the world of you and keep up the good work. And you all just you're gonna go far. You're gonna go far in life, and I appreciate you all for doing this and taking the challenge of El, Elorm hosting Teen Talk Live, and for you to being guests here and sharing so transparently about something that's difficult to talk about. And know that I'm always here if you need to continue this dialogue. I'm here. I'm just an inbox away or a text away. So thank you all for joining us. And I want to say thank you for our guests for joining us on Teen Talk Live tonight. This was our teen episode where I just kind of sat back and let the teens have their time to talk about this very important topic as we celebrate Women's History Month, taking a look at the immigrant side of it. And these young women did an amazing job. Thank you for being here with us. If you catch us on the replay, like and share this out. Make sure people hear what they have to say because they have a voice and they're very proud of it. Ms. Jocelyn, thank you for hanging in here with us. And we're so glad that you joined us. You all have a good night until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.